I think that sounds like a really good question, and if I felt comfortable giving you a simple answer, then I would say that the only thing that moves a company faster than where the decision maker has no choice is when your competitors do something that you have to react to. Outside of that, it really is to do with the culture of the company and the decentralized decision making of the business. And so the answer to the question at a specific level is it really depends on the business, which is not the answer you want. But what I can tell you, and I can give you a very real example of something I was heavily involved with, which was a complete change in a product category called market research, data collection, using what was traditionally calling people at dinner and trying to do a telephone survey, or sending them it was sort of dying up, but they also got sent surveys in the mail, or they got intercepted when they were trying to walk into a shop. And also the type of person was, let's say, a very high intellect because they were a researcher. They were guaranteed to have a degree, in many cases a PhD, and they were not the fastest moving people, where there was no incentive whatsoever to move to anything new. But what I can tell you is some very real stories and things I've been through before. First one is, it isn't the people that you expect that are going to be your biggest supporters. It's the ones that see the angle, and the most surprising of all, it's the people in those companies that can see the future and are frustrated because that business is not seeing the future, and they leave, and we helped make some of those new startups as big or bigger than the companies they left very quickly, because nothing happens as fast as competition setting up right next to you and being able to do things twice as fast at half the cost. And that is just about to happen again. And it's like deja vu for me, because it's all the same types of signal. We're going through a structural shift. And so, as I said before, if I'm the aftershot, I'm a CEO, I'm doing really well, I'm sitting on top of a nice business and a nice take-home salary. What is my incentive to move and change my business? And why would I try to disrupt and complicate my life and my organization? Now, I'm not saying that every business thinks that way. In fact, I've had, again, a lot of experience where if you're the number 2 or the number 3, and you see a way to really have a crack at the number 1, then come and talk to Decider. If you also are one of those superstars inside that business where you know the CEO is not incentivized, then again, come and see Decider, because we'll make sure that you have an incredible opportunity to bring what you can do already and reimagine it in a way that probably will not only be exciting, but also kind of change the framework of product categories themselves. And the internet did that. And the internet did that in a way that, let's say, was, I would say, going at pretty fast, like, let's say the speed limit. There's now people that have built freeways next to your normal little roads, and you can just take the on-ramp. And you can drive past that freeway entrance today and then maybe tomorrow, but at some point you're going to realize that you've got to get on the freeway, because you're never going to get to the other side, and people are going to beat you really quickly. And so I think that natural competition and the opportunity and the reward is always going to drive and become, let's say, the incentive. And so the incentive is do nothing and make it really easy for those who are going to come through, because I guarantee you that's going to happen, because I've seen it before, and there's just nothing that's going to move those people, and they'll just hold on. Versus, let's say, how many number 1s can there be in a category? And how many opportunities can there be for, let's say, the people inside those number 1s to set up their own business, or to really get on a trajectory that they never will get on, because if that CEO is not budging and moving, I can guarantee you they're not moving out of their job anytime soon either. So what this really is a call to people who, one, it isn't that hard to imagine that AI is going to make a very big impact. If you're a business that has a huge amount of white-collar workers, a huge amount of knowledge work, and I don't care what industry you're in, there's a redesign, or someone like me that's redesigning your business right now in ways that you can't fathom, and when you see them, they will instantly scare you. Now, if I'm a tiny little coffee shop with 2 employees, I don't think you've got too much to worry about. But you will absolutely, at some point, be a beneficiary if you adopt early enough, from a marketing perspective, from a supply management perspective, from a cost management perspective, from a staff acquisition perspective, and there's going to be plenty of you that are going to want that as well. And I think that's really important. But the most important thing is get off sinking ships, because they're going to hold on, and that's a really, really bad strategy. So doing nothing is a strategy, and that's actually in the Decider model, doing nothing. If doing nothing is the way that you see holding on to the short-term, to a short-term situation, then you're probably okay. That strategy is going to prove out right, but it's very short-term. And I think if you're not embracing it now, and you're not opening up your mind to the possibilities and the amount of money that's going into this new operating system, this new foundational capability, then you are going to be left behind whether you like it or not. So this is already kind of happening, but the really big leap is when people start realizing how valuable the data is that these things can make, that the outputs are higher quality, far higher quality than the average. And when you go back into all of those CEOs and decision makers and say, every one of you has people that are below average, and AI is already better than them. So you have to make a call. And if you're a really good CEO, you have to make change. And if you're a really good CEO, you have to make adjustments because your trajectory just changed. And if that's not being screamed into your ears, you're very soon going to find a very different environment.